Welcome back to AskTechZG. In this episode, lots of questions about the OnePlus Z and also some other options as well. So let's get right into it with the poll that I asked you guys, and it seems like you lot really concentrate mostly on the SoC or the chipset, and I also think that is the right option because it doesn't matter how good everything else is. If it's not powered by that chipset, then it's not going to work as well. So I think that is the right option. But let's get right on to the first question. Does the OnePlus C have dual or triple cameras? Some photos show only 2 cameras. I wouldn't expect a triple camera on this. It is a cheaper type of phone. If we see the leaks from OnLeaks, it looks like a main camera, an ultra wide, maybe a depth sensor in there or a macro sensor, an extra sensor, but I wouldn't think it would have a zoom camera on there because they need to cut costs somewhere, and with a high megapixel main image sensor you don't really need a 2x zoom anyway, so that may be one of the casualties. A dual camera for me and maybe an extra camera for depth sensing or something like that. Can we expect a small sized, lightweight, powerful phone anytime soon? I'm sick of all the huge and heavy bricks. iPhone 12. Yeah, I know you might be an Android person, but really a super powerful small phone. You're looking at the iPhone 12, the iPhone SE is still super powerful, and the iPhone 12, if we go by the leaks, is going to be a tiny phone, a really small form factor with an OLED screen and the brand new A14 chipset. So that's my answer. You might not want to switch over to iOS and become part of the Apple ecosystem, but in the Android world, most phones, especially flagship phones, are big, and iPhone might be your best bet. Do I really have to drain my battery before charging during the first time I use it out of the box? No, I don't think so. Most of the time they'll come with about 50% of charge, I guess, when you turn it on. And no, you don't have to drain it down. Draining it down very low and it being very high for prolonged levels isn't really the best. So just use it as normal, charge it as normal. Phones also are quite clever these days, so you don't have to charge it right down. Just use it maybe down to 10-20% as you would normally, and charge it as you would normally. Is there any Android OEM working on a smartphone that has the iPhone SE like form factor? So you get the flagship chipset, single camera, 4000 mAh, 18-watt charging, headphone jack, and an affordable price. Well, the smallest phone that I can think of that's a flagship phone right now is maybe the Realme X50 Pro. That has the small form factor, but it's like a 6.4-inch display. Nothing in the Android world comes close to those small form factors from Apple. They're just still doing it, and Apple's Android manufacturers have moved away. They're also moving the headphone jack away as well because TWS earphones are cheap these days, or at least much cheaper. They're getting down to around the price that you would buy a pair of earphones anyway, and they're pretty good quality. So the headphone jack is disappearing for a reason. Also, when it comes to charging, even budget phones these days have 30-watt charging, really, a lot from the Chinese manufacturers. So definitely quicker than that. And batteries really are just there to give you maybe a day, 2 days of use at most. So even though some may be bigger, some may be smaller, they really put them together to give you a day and a half of use and really not much more. So it's really about battery life rather than battery size. What specific feature of smartphones of 2020 really stood out from recent years? Does that feature really necessary, or is it just to show the technology is evolving? I think there's 2 technologies really that have come into the mainstream in the Android world, and we think in the iPhone 12 series, which is high refresh rate screens, so 120Hz, 90Hz, and also periscope zoom cameras. Both of these you would say are not really necessary, but they're just an evolution of technology. Each year you have to improve and get better and offer better specs. So a longer zoom range is an easy way to do that. It is absolute. 10 times is more than 5, 20 is more than 10. It's just a very simple, easy way to say that this phone is better than that phone. It's an amount. Same with the refresh rate screen. 120 is better than 90. It's an easy way to sell a phone saying this is better than the previous generation. How hard do you think the US limitations on chip makers selling to Huawei will affect the quality of their smartphones in coming years? It's just double trouble for them. No access to the best chips, the best chip makers, and no access to Google. And it's just almost impossible to recommend those phones to anyone outside of mainland China because they're just not going to compete. They're just not going to be competitive products. We're seeing maybe the P40 Pro, the Mate 40 when it comes, maybe the last real flagship phones from them. And then I don't know what they're going to be doing after that. Maybe they'll find a way around it, but it's extremely difficult, if not impossible, for consumers to buy into that ecosystem, to buy into that brand with everything going on. They're going to be looking elsewhere. Is Mediatek improved with their latest chipsets like the Dimensity 820? Absolutely. I think the 820, for what it is, it's a sort of budget chipset, but it's got mid-range specs, it's powerful. The image processing has taken a big jump up from what it was in previous years. So I think we're looking at maybe Mediatek really entering into the competition and actually coming with some really good chips. This is for budget sector though. Still don't know if they can really compete with the high-end chipsets from Snapdragon, but certainly in the mid-range and the budget sector, they are definitely giving Snapdragon a run for their money because they're more powerful and cheaper, and the image processing seems to be getting quite good as well. So I'm excited for budget and mid-range phones, maybe getting a bit cheaper or a bit more feature-packed. You never picked my question, but I have today, man. According to sources, OnePlus Nord or OnePlus Z comes with 10-watt charger. Is it true? So the latest rumor that I've seen, or the leak that I've seen, is that it will come with 30-watt charging, which is the same as the OnePlus 8 series. There are rumors that 65-watt charging is coming to an upcoming phone for OnePlus, but probably not the OnePlus C or the OnePlus Nord, whatever they're going to call it. Not 10 charging either. Yeah, 30-watt charging should be, hopefully, for that device, and I think a good spec for a mid-range phone. Will the Exynos 1000 be able to match the A14 Bionic? So this is the next flagship SoC from Samsung, the new Exynos. It looks promising for now. Don't really know what the benchmarks are going to be, but hopefully AMD graphics in that chipset, and we've seen some early benchmarks which show the graphics really outperforming anything from Snapdragon, so that's really exciting on that part. The other part is the CPU, and we're now getting ARM designed, very powerful custom CPU cores, and that was also a problem with Exynos chipsets. So the GPU and the CPU both getting much better according to the information, but we still don't know how it's really going to work with the operating system, loads of teething issues. Definitely exciting though, because Exynos needs to change, and it is changing, and that's all we can ask for. Will it be as powerful as the A14? We'll have to wait and see on that one, I guess. You know, Apple are years ahead in terms of what they're doing, and their designs are just spot on, and they've been making them better and better each year. So the A14 may still keep its crown, but we'll wait and see towards the end of this year to know for sure. What phone can you recommend under $500 considering SoC and camera, and do you like pineapples on pizza? Never pineapples on pizza, dude. You don't put pineapples on pizza, it's impossible. Europeans, we just like ham and normal pizza. Under $500. I actually have a video on this that I posted this week, so you can go and check that out, or I'll link it here, wherever it is. Just has the top 12 phones under $500 that I think are a really good deal, and available in America and Europe on Amazon, so go and check that video out. Forza Racer, hi dude, who has the more advantages, Mi 10 Pro or OnePlus 8 Pro? I think it's the OnePlus 8 Pro over the Mi 10 Pro. The screen, 120 versus 90 Hertz, Quad HD versus Full HD, so the screen goes to OnePlus. Same chipset. When it comes to the cameras, it's going to be subjective. I think the Mi 10 Pro has better zoom range. I think it has a much better zoom camera than the OnePlus 8 Pro, but the main and the ultra-wide on the OnePlus 8 Pro, really, really good this year. So I would say the OnePlus 8 Pro is my choice, depending on the price. They change in every country, so that's in the mix as well. Dimensity 820 versus Snapdragon 720G. For me, Dimensity 820, it has 5G, it's a powerful chipset, and yeah, I think over the Snapdragon 720, I may just choose the Mediatek. I can only give you my opinion from the Redmi 10X, which I used it in, which I just liked it as a phone. I also like the Redmi Note 9 Pro, which is using that 720G chipset. The international version is, so I don't know. I like both of those phones, and they're both good chipsets. They'll both do the job. Lemon Zone. Hey there, I'm a long time watcher. I ended up ordering the Ace 2 based on your video. Oh, that's cool. I'm wondering what you think about ColorOS 7. I'm worried about that coming from OxygenOS. How do you feel about the Ace 2 now? It's a tough choice between that and the F2 Pro. I really like the Reno Ace. It's the trio that I like, which is a high refresh rate screen. So 90 Hertz refresh rate, 65 watt charging, flagship SoC. Those three specs for me are just the core of any phone, and they're really, really powerful for that phone, especially at the price. ColorOS 7 and OxygenOS, yeah, they're very different. It will take a little bit of getting used to if you're used to OxygenOS, but I think ColorOS has really improved over the years. And it started off as like a copy of iOS, really, with a lot of the icons, but it's really changed over the years. It's really snappy. The animations are short if you like that sort of thing. I think it goes well with the high refresh rate screen. The OnePlus 8 is a premium design, and you do pay a lot more for that. The Reno Ace is a mid-range design, but the price comes down, but you still get those core specs. So I think you'll be happy with the phone, and let me know when you get it, just how much you like it. But anyway, that is it for AskTechZG this week. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope it was helpful. We'll do another one next week. That's it for now, though. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.